Hi, I'm Randy Hollenbeck, and this is the Music Roundtable. Today on the show, we have Kyle from hard rock band Theriaca.
How's it going? Nice. Thanks for having me.
All the king's horses, all the king's men will never make you whole again. Open your eyes and see this disease. Drugs and honey, drugs and honey.
I just wanted to start out by digging into some of your history. How did you get into music? What age did you start playing guitar?
Awesome question. This is a fun story. So when I was 15, I had started going over to my friend Zach's house, Zach Della Penna. We had gone back to third grade, I think. Even before that, I think we had been going to school together since preschool. Sorry if I got that wrong, but I had started going over to his house because he was taking guitar lessons since somewhere around third grade. He was really good, still is, I'm sure. And so I had found my dad's old guitar because he was in all kinds of bands. I restrung it, took it over there, and he had started showing me just a few chords, like a few basic chords, like A minor, E, the basics, very basics. And no joke, within like 2 days, we wrote our first song. And I just knew then. I was like, yeah, this is probably what I want to do. Well, the very next week, um, there was a talent show. This was eighth grade. There was a school talent show, and it was put on in front of the whole elementary, all of those teachers, the whole middle school, and all those teachers, and any parents that wanted to come. And so, a week and a half into playing, we decided to play that song that we wrote in front of the whole school. It's very nerve wracking. Young, like, uh, so we did that. And then the very next day, I was at my friend Jordan's house, and sorry, V, that's his mom. As we were sneaking out, and I jumped off of the roof. We all were jumping off the roof, and it just so happened that I broke my leg. I broke both bones. It was a bad break. It was really bad. And so got all that wrapped up, and once I was in my hip cast, because I had a cast all the way up to my hip for the first like 4 months of that. I had to go through several of them because they had to keep getting cut off because of the pressure and the swelling. It was like really bad. But after like the following week, once I got that first cast on, my dad bought me a guitar, 78 Les Paul, off of his friend Les. His friend's name was Les, who has one of the most amazing guitar collections ever. He was a really big Beatles fan, and he was like in a Beatles cover band. I think he still might be, but had this very amazing 78 Les Paul. Showed up with that and a little Galleon Kruger Dual 8 little lunchbox amp, and I had nothing to do. I couldn't even move. So what did I do for like 10 hours a day? That's right. This was in the early days of the internet too, and there were sites that had tablature on it because I didn't know how to read music, still don't, and taught myself with tablature and a broken leg. And yeah, and before that, I'd always been like singing in the car along with all my favorite songs and bands and everything, and so that's kind of how I got started. All the other guys have their own stories, but that's my extended story of how I basically started playing guitar, fell in love with it, and I've been writing ever since. So, yeah.
Can you tell me some of your musical influences as far as like guitar and singing?
Guitar and singing. Okay, so guitar work, definitely there's Mark Tremonti. of Alter Bridge and Tremonti, and formerly Creed. Always a huge fan of his guitar work. I've always been a fan of Eric from 12 Stones, and also Paul as singing. So that band was hugely influential to my early writing. Love those guys, 12 Stones. I would love in the future. I know they're not touring or anything right now, but that would be an awesome show to get together at some point. But bands like 12 Stones, Alter Bridge, and those are both for guitar and vocals. Um, where I've learned a little bit of false chord screaming that I kind of do. I'm still new to it, but my big influences for that are like Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box. She's amazing. And Tatiana. I'm sorry if I mispronounce her last name, but I believe it's Schmeiluk from Ginger. Watched a couple interviews of them talking about how they learned or had taught themselves or learned techniques about how to properly do these different screaming techniques without destroying your voice. And so they were hugely influential. And also Michael Barnes from Red. You've heard of Red? Red's an amazing band. Those guys are awesome. And let's see, who's more guitar work? I think I can't play like these people, but I find a lot of inspiration in a lot of YouTube guitarists like Steve Terryberry. That dude's awesome. Jared Dines. Andy McKee. Have you ever heard of the acoustic player Andy McKee? That guy. I found him in the early days, the Wild West of YouTube, like back in 2009. He posted those first couple videos that included like Rylan and Drifting. Those were the two first songs that I heard from him, and I was immediately blown away. I'm like, I've never seen anybody. I had never at the time. I'd never really seen anybody play guitar like that, and yeah, hugely inspirational. Basically, anybody that is super passionate about what they're doing and they can execute live, like that's key to me. Is anybody that can nail that performance live and have like perfect pitch. The guys are probably gonna laugh at me for saying this, but I have to say, like, I've noticed, I'm a singer, so I notice a lot of people singing, and I gotta say there are two female singers, pop singers right now that have perfect pitch. That I don't care who you are, you can't deny that Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande both have absolutely perfect pitch. I dare anybody out there to prove otherwise. You won't be able to. But like people like that, that's not in my wheelhouse. That's not what we do. But I hear that and I'm like, that's something to aspire to, be able to just on the spot nail something perfectly for people. Like that's an inspiration. I don't care who you are. So yeah, there's a huge variety of inspiration there. I like a lot of different kinds of music. So
Can you tell me how Theriaca formed?
yeah, so Theriaca is the product of like 18 years, honestly. About 18 years has led up to this, because if we go back to 2005, that's when I graduated high school. I believe Nate and Matt both graduated a year before that, and then Bryce graduated, I think, 2 years after. Was he class of 2007 or maybe it was 2009? Sorry, Bryce. But anyway, we had formed an original band called Fusion back in late 2005. It was me and Bryce and, let's see, our buddy Dan and John and Nate. That was the original lineup. And then things switched around. We added Matt, and then it was just me, Nate, Matt, and Bryce for the longest time. In 2007, we moved away to LA, and that was a big crazy time. But fast forwarding through all of that, because don't want to dig into any of that, to 2012 is when I finally moved back from there. And it took a year, but we got back together after I saw Nate at the gas station out the road from my parents' house, and we were like, dude, let's try this again. And we got together and actually started recording with Mike Ofca, who recorded this latest album of ours. And in 2014, we released a 3-track EP under the name For What It's Worth. And then, like, 3 months later, I moved to Boulder, Colorado for school, and I went to the University of Colorado, and I didn't move back here until 2020. But the reason that started unfolding is because I graduated in August of 2019, and then I had signed another lease because I'm like, all right, 5 years, I get to relax and enjoy Colorado and see this. Well, like 4 or 5 months later, the pandemic started unfolding, and so everything started shutting down, over the course of that spring. And so I'm like, okay, what do I want to do in life? I have this degree, whatever. What's my happy place? And music, of course, being on stage. Started going to a couple of the open mics there, and then eventually got back into the band chat with the guys and was like, hey, I'm thinking about moving back. What do you guys think? They're like, come on, let's do this. Moved back here, and in all of that time, Bryce had started jamming with Brennan, and I believe they had formed a little project called A Sound Below. Sorry if I got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. They were jamming. And when I got back, Bryce was like, dude, you got to meet this guy. He's great guitarist, great vocals. Like, I really think you could add something. I was a bit reticent about it. I was a bit reluctant. We had gone over there to film a video for a song called Father's Eyes. And about, I'd say 2 months later, we were asking Brennan to join the band. Then it was the big, what are we going to call ourselves? Because we can't keep calling, well, I mean, we could keep calling ourselves For What It's Worth, but I feel like if we're stepping into this new frontier of writing and new styles and everything and trying different things, we should do that under a different name. And so we spent several months jogging our brains trying to figure out a name. Everything we came up with, we'd type it in just Facebook and YouTube to try to see, is there already a page? Even if they have 30 subscribers or 30 followers, it doesn't matter. If it's already taken, it's taken. Kept happening. And so I actually, it's probably out of frame, you can't really see it, but there's a stack of dictionaries right here. Can you see those? So I was like, screw it, I'm going to the dictionary. So it took a little while. I think I did it throughout a single day, but I was flipping through and suddenly I landed right on this word, Theriaca. As soon as I read it, I took a picture, sent it to the chat, and we like immediately voted, and that became our name. So, and Theriaca, of course, for anybody out there that doesn't know, it's an ancient antidote for the bite of venomous creatures containing numerous drugs mixed with honey. So, interesting name. Some dictionaries label it as an antidote to poison, but I like that. I like the first definition. So there's that. That's how Theriaca formed. So
What city are you based out of?
we two of us live here in Pittsburgh. Matt and I live here in the Pittsburgh area, and the rest of the guys, either like Bryce is in Ohio, Nate's in Ohio, and Brennan's in West Virginia, where we practice in Weirton. So we generally say we're based out of Pittsburgh, but I've been saying lately we're based out of Pittsburgh and the surrounding tri-state area because we are. We're all originally from Ohio, except for Brennan, still from Weirton. But it's easiest, usually, without the long form being able to answer like this, we'll just say Pittsburgh. So, Pittsburgh, I guess, yeah.
Okay, you just released the album A Different Shade of Gray, and I wanted to talk about two of the songs on there. We're going to start out with Souvenirs. You got a line in there, clutch your souvenirs, but they won't erase all the damage you've done. Can you talk a little bit about that line?
Yes. Okay, so overall, this song is about overcoming addiction. That's the general theme of the song. It's not, I can say that I started the lyrics to this back in probably 2016 or 2017 when I was living in Boulder. And I originally only had those actually, I think it was only the first 3 lines. Clutch your souvenirs, but they won't erase all the damage you've done. Out of lies manifests fear. That's all I had for like 5 years. And then we got together, Brennan brought Brennan in, and we started really I started going through all of my notes, all of the lyrics I'd ever written, and that one came back up, and I'm like, I think we should expand upon this. And what came out was this song about essentially overcoming addiction. And I can't say that this was the original intention of this lyric, but what I've taken from it since recording it and releasing it and everything, clutch your souvenirs, but they won't erase all the damage you've done. So this, in no way out there is to diminish anybody's achievements in any kind of 12-step program or anything like that. But what I've come to, associate that line with is clutch your souvenirs, but they won't erase all the damage you've done. The souvenir could be the coin. It could be any, do I want to call it a crutch? I don't want to diminish anybody's achievements, but any kind of anything else that has taken the place of that addiction, if the person hasn't acknowledged anything that they've done in the past in order to move forward in their life, I think that can also be damaging. And so just holding on to those things isn't the full achievement. It can be for some people, but in certain instances it might not be, because I feel like you might have to, and every case is different, but moving forward without acknowledging or resolving any conflict in the past that may have been caused by actions like that won't erase the damage. It won't. It can't. And if you're fine with that, hey, that works. If it works for you and you're better, do it. But that's essentially the meaning of that line.
Clutch your souvenirs, but they won't erase all the damage you've done. Out of lies manifest fear, words like ammunition from the barrel of a gun. When all the king's horses and all the king's men can never make you whole again, never make you whole again. Close your eyes and breathe this disease. Take a second and I'll face your fears. Hold my breath until they disappear. All the wounds I have will never heal without drugs and honey. Drugs and honey.
The next song is Never Enough. And you sing, before the sky falls down, I take a chance on my own. Before the sky falls down, I need relief. For this heart of stone, a better life, I want to know. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for asking about this, because this was when we initially did the first batch of 3 songs that we recorded back in, I guess it was late 21 at this point. Wow, these years are flying by. We originally had Souvenirs, Embrace, and Burn the Ladder actually was supposed to be the original third one recorded back in 21. Those were going to be our first releases. About a week before going into the studio, I was sitting actually right here in this chair, but over just a little bit in front of my other TV over here. And again, looking through my notes, because I'm super organized with my lyrics, got them in a document in my drive. So I'm looking through and I saw these, I think it was the first verse that I had done. And I had my acoustic and I just started strumming. And those were the chords that came out. And I was like, wow, okay, this works. And sat there and finished the rest of that song in maybe 20 minutes. And recorded a version of it with my phone, which is what I do. I throw it in a drive folder that I have. I'll just set up my phone and record a little snippet or the whole thing. So I recorded the whole thing, sent it to the guys, threw it in a drive, and was like, it's like, I'm sorry guys, I'm making an executive decision here. This is going to be the third single. And they're like, but we haven't practiced it. I'm like, that's all right. I believe in us. So we went into the studio, and with Mike's magic and with everybody's incredible talent, all these guys did the impossible, and it sounds awesome. So we recorded that entire song without having ever played it together. So that was awesome. And now, as for the lyrics of the chorus, so this is like supposed to be sort of motivational, inspirational type song, and it's sort of self-motivation. Before the sky falls down, I'll take a chance on my own. Essentially, it's taking back your freedom and autonomy. If you had been viewing other people as a crutch to help get you along, it's taking back your freedom, taking back you. Before the sky falls down, I'm so glad you asked me about this line. I've been waiting for this day. Thank you. I need relief for this heart of stone. Do you know what a relief sculpture is? Mount Rushmore is an example of a relief sculpture. So it would be on the facade of either a building or a rock face or anything like that, and you etch things away, and what's left is called a relief sculpture. La Sagrada Familia in Barcelona is another example. They have the whole biblical story of Jesus etched all the way around it. So that line right there, I need relief for this heart of stone. What I'm essentially saying is that I need somebody to chisel away all the things that have hardened my heart and leave it as a nice relief sculpture of an actual heart, so that I can get back to some semblance of normality, right? Better life I want to know. I do. I want to, you're constantly, I've suffered immensely from depression, and it's one of those things that it doesn't matter what people can say to you. It doesn't matter how much you try to hype yourself up and motivate you. Sometimes you just can't turn that off. And so that's what that's referring to, is like somebody just needs to chisel this away. I feel like I've been just so cold to everybody, and that's what's needed. Make this a heart, That's what I'm saying there. So thank you for asking that. Yes. Love that song.
Suddenly your voice cries out for me to notice. You've lived in your consequences and built your fences. Now you see that it won't be too long. Won't be too long before the sky falls down. I'll take a chance on my own. Before the sky falls down, I need relief for this heart of stone. A better life I wanna know.
Now, you went in the studio with producer Mike Ofca. How did he play on this song, and how long did it take you to record this whole album?
Okay, so first about Mike. When we were laying this song down, he really enjoyed it, and we both Nate and Brennan had laid down several takes of different solos, and they were all great because they are amazing guitarists, and especially at lead. And while we definitely could have used one of those, we absolutely could have. We almost did use one of them. We're all sitting there kind of going through them one day, and Mike's just like, "Would you guys care if I if I tried something?" We were getting ready to leave too, and we're like, "You know what? Take your time, do your thing." And a couple days later, he sent us on Facebook of the videos of him laying down the first one, and we're like, "Oh yes!" And then like 2 days later, he said he sent us another one. He said, "Well, it was there, but it wasn't quite there yet." And that's when he added in the harmony part of the solo. And as soon as we all heard that, we're just like, yes, that is it right there. Thank you so much. And yeah, I love that solo. It's awesome. And then live, since there are three of us that are guitarists in the band, I play the rhythm part live while Nate and Brennan lead. And it's an awesome solo. So kudos, Mike. Thank you for jumping in on that song. It's awesome. So, and Mike's an awesome producer to work with. He's really easy to work with, and um, the only things that we had were just scheduling conflicts because it's five guys schedules trying to get aligned with somebody that's an active producer and always recording. So that was tough. It took, so between recording that first batch of 3 songs and finishing it up, it took, I would say, around a full year, just because we had to coordinate schedules, and I had to write the songs too. Like Break Before You Bend was the last song that I wrote. We had actually already gone in to lay down all the drums and the rhythm tracks for all of the other 6 songs, the 6 new ones. And again, similar situation. I was sitting right here and a lot of pressure, and I'm like, I got to write this song. So I went to my handy drive folder, my lyrics document, chose one, and it just turned out Break Before You Bend. I wrote that one on the acoustic just like Never Enough, and brought that as a whole song. We only tweaked, I think we just I had all the separate parts, all the separate guitar parts written. It was just about getting us all together and like shifting a part from here to there and making sure this lined up. And yeah, that song came together like that as well. I know you didn't ask about that, but I know you'd mentioned that one at the show, so I'm a big fan of that song. I like that one too. So I think I answered the question. Yeah, sorry, I tend to go on tangents.
Have we lost our way and given up the chance to feel? Have we gone astray to sacrifice the means to appeal? If I stay too long, I'll never look back again. If I can right these wrongs, the past comes back in flames. Save yourself while you still can surrender. You know it's not the end. In the silence, I hope you come to understand. You can't break before you bend. Can't break before you
Now, with it taking a year to make, do you think that helped with the writing process and getting everything, letting it breathe a little bit, coming back and listening to it and maybe tweaking stuff to make it better?
I think it came out just the way it needed to, because since finishing up like the final tracking of that album, like I have a whole, I think I told you about this as well before. I have a whole, in that document, I have separated off new song lyrics that I have full songs, like verse, chorus. I have a bridge part. If we use it, it's there or whatever. I have, as of earlier, I checked the count, 18. I have 18. Brennan has like 6 in a document that I also created for him. So ideally at this point, I feel like a different shade of gray came together in the time frame that it needed to. But now I'm at the point where like I need to write. I need to move forward. I know we just released this album, but I'm like in this position. I have just endless streams of stuff going through my head always, and I'm like, now it's time to kick it into like overdrive and writing, because honestly, that's 2 more albums worth of material that we technically, if we had enough funding, we could go in right now and record another whole album and probably another one after that too. So like that's the writing process for us, and it's constantly moving. Every time I pick up the guitar, I can write something new. Every time we're at practice, Brennan, Nate, me, we're always noodling, and we're like, ooh, what's that? I don't know, it's just coming out right now. Right? So it's really difficult to like choose, because we're all super creative, right? We're all like ready to just do this, and we're constantly like going forward, but then slowing down, and I don't know. I'm just glad that we were able to do 10 full music videos in 10 weeks. That was an achievement. So thanks, Matt, because that's Matt's hard work right there. Incredible editing and doing all that. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's writing and staying organized and staying motivated when things aren't going quite as fast as you would like them to. We don't have a giant label backing us, so like takes time. I'm ready to move forward. Let's put it that way. I'm ready to move forward. Keep the shows coming, right?
Yep. Now, what do you guys got planned for the rest of this year?
So we have 2 major things coming up. That's all we've got planned so far. Wait, no, we did just add a third one, but I don't know if I'm going to release any details about that one. Let me talk about the 2 ones that are coming up next month and in May. So first, we have the Mesa Music Festival in Mesa, Arizona. We were graciously added to that lineup. Thank you very much to the organizers. And if you're going to be in the Mesa area, April 13th through the 15th is this festival, and it's free to the public. You can just show up and go. There's going to be, I think they said, over 200 bands over the course of those 3 days. It's like a whole citywide thing. A bunch of venues are participating. There's a couple outdoor stages. There's Everclear that's headlining, and a couple other LA Guns, and there's one other that's headlining. But we got some pretty prime spots there. We're actually playing on the 13th and the 14th. That's Friday and Saturday. And I'm not even going to attempt to get those times correct, but we're like closing out the night on Friday, and we're almost closing out the night on Saturday. We actually stop our set a half hour before Everclear starts there. So we're going to be able to go check those guys out. That'll be cool. So that's next month. We're making that drive. I think we just booked our Airbnb. So there's all that. It's we're going to drive there. It's going to be fun. And then in May 10th, we actually got added to the El Nino show at the Crafthouse. There's a whole slew of bands that are on that lineup. Definitely check that out. Check out our Facebook page for all the flyers and information on that. But it's their 20th anniversary of their, I believe it was their debut commercial, mainstream album. And it's going to be cool. I think we're opening up the entire show, so you'd have to get there early. I believe it starts at 5:30. Check the flyer. It's there online. So, sorry, a lot of information to try to keep straight. So those are the 2 major things. We do, I think, have something else in the works for June, but more on that on our Facebook page. Definitely check that out. And if you're out there, check us out on YouTube and give us a subscription. We're trying to get monetized. That's the easiest and freest way to support your favorite musicians. So musicians and artists. So
I was going to ask you, where can we get a hold of you? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
Yeah, so all three of actually we're not on Twitter. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are all at Theriaca Official. And for anybody out there that's just listening and didn't see my shirt, oh, it's backward, but yeah, you can kind of see that. Theriaca, and you pronounce it like you've been Theriaca. So definitely check us out. We've got a bunch of music videos on YouTube for you to enjoy. They were all fun to make. And I actually just posted a band vlog number 2 last night. It's about our journey to Crescent Sanatorium and prison to film the video for I Belong Here, which was very cold but fun. It was really cool. So, and also, I'm sorry, I should probably promote this more since we pay for a website. We have a website. It's theriaca.net. And it, of course, links to all of our other social media. So it's all consolidated right there. You can even watch all of our music videos. You can stream through the Apple Music player or the Spotify player right on our website, theriaca.net. So definitely check that out. And you can shop for our merch there too. So
That's all the questions I have. Thanks for coming on the show today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
no, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me. And yeah, we can't wait to do this more often in the future with new music. We have a bunch coming, so stay tuned.
I've made my mistakes, but they won't define me.